Boa tarde. Obrigado por todos por estarem aqui. A gente tem um Hangout especial hoje com o time de Berkeley, que está aqui nos ajudando. Eu já falo um pouquinho sobre o que a gente está fazendo e aí a gente começa um bate-papo rápido. Mas antes, o pessoal de expansão internacional vai me dar um tiro se eu não fizer o anúncio de que é para todo mundo se lembrar de continuar ativando seus contatos colombianos e mexicanos para comprar os ingressos do On the Road de Bogotá no dia 13 de junho e do México dia 20 de junho, sendo que amanhã tem uma virada de lote. Pronto, feito o anúncio. Então, I'll welcome you guys. Great to have you at our show. So I wanted to first just tell you quickly about the project. So what happened was that last year we did a first project with the Berkeley team. They will explain a little bit about the subject that they take during the MBA program that leads to this kind of project. So we did the international expansion research with a similar team from Berkeley. It did so well that we thought of doing again this year. And this year, when I arrived, I already found the project ongoing with a fantastic focus, the best focus it could have, which is to help us build the new plan for the RD University, right? So with that, I'd like to turn to each one of them to say a little bit about your story, your working experience, and why you're here.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for having us. My name's Zach. We're actually all from UC Berkeley, the business school, and you guys have just been really very cool to us, very kind, welcoming. It's been cool to be here. You guys, I don't know, bring just a lot of excitement to your work, and that's been, I think, a really awesome thing to see. It's a very exciting time to be in this company, it seems like, and that's been cool for us to be a part of this so far. I'm from Chicago. Chicago Bulls is really important to me. Since we've been here, I think, big fan of Cake Day. It's been a really cool thing to see. The food in general, coxinha, the brigadeiro, we really love it. We were actually in Rio de Janeiro last weekend and loved it so much I missed my flight. Thought I would stay there for a little while. But it's great to be here in Floripa. Just really having a good time here so far. So thanks for having us, and thanks for just being so generous to us as well.
And what did you do before the MBA, Zach?
I was working in data analytics at a hospital in California, helping them with some strategy around how to improve some of their outcomes with finance, their quality of medical care, and then also their patient survey results. So,
okay. You convinced me. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
We don't have coxinhas at the end, but
my heart's broken.
We can have it at a happy hour later. All right. That's good. That's good.
Hi, I'm Billy. Also from Berkeley. Originally, I'm from Connecticut, which is about an hour outside of New York City. I don't think so.
Yes, it is closer to your
Is it? There we go. So I'm from Connecticut, about an hour outside of New York City. Before Berkeley, I was working with a tech startup based in Tel Aviv, trying to build a business over there. Before that, I was doing investment banking in New York, and before that, I was in college. Before that, I was in high school. Before that, I was in middle school. We could go here for a while. I've also enjoyed being here a lot. I really like software and digital companies, so RD is right up that alley. I've been really working hard on learning how to pronounce the company name, but I won't butcher it right now. And yeah, it's been great being here, eating some food, experiencing Brazilian culture, which I generally say is steak. A lot of steak, and a lot of pão de queijo.
Zach is the coxinha guy. He's the steak guy.
Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
And more. But now I'll pass it to the sushi girl.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily. I'm from another island near Seattle in the northwest of the United States. But I spent the last 6 years in Buenos Aires, where I worked in consulting. I worked mostly helping companies with their back office systems and processes. So I spent a lot of time with Salesforce and SAP. But I moved back to the States in August to start Berkeley. So I'm very happy to be back in South America. I came to Brazil for work a couple of times before, but I've never been to this part of Brazil. So I'm very happy to be here. I like sushi, but I think I mostly like feijoada.
And we have special feijoada for them this weekend. But that's a secret from RDU.
I think that's it. I'm learning Portuguese. Good. So I thought about saying this all in Portuguese, and then I chickened out at the last minute.
Hey everyone, thanks for having us. I'm Thomas. I don't know any Portuguese at all. I'm originally from outside of Los Angeles in California, and then I've spent a good amount of time on the East Coast of the United States going to school in a state called Maryland, and then I was living in Washington, D.C. doing antitrust consulting for the past 3 years prior to school. Also a huge sports fan, not the Bulls, go Lakers. Quick plug. But
Anybody?
nope.
No Lakers? No?
Crickets. People would know. Yeah, I don't have anything else, I don't think.
Background? Undergrad?
I studied economics at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland prior to this, and then was kind of keeping with the economics route, and now to a more generic business.
You have to follow the other guys. What's your favorite food so far? Sushi. We have sushi, coxinha, and steak. Oh, feijoada, I'm sorry. Feijoada, coxinha, and steak.
What is coxinha?
The little chicken thing looks like a drop. He loves it too.
I'd probably go steaks, but I don't eat it nearly as much as Billy. They kind of took all the good answers, I feel like. But yeah.
All right.
Caipirinhas.
Caipirinhas, yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Connie and I also come from Berkeley. So because like all the four people have spoken before me and they all managed to make the room laugh, so even I'm not funny, please try to give some reactions and pretend I'm funny.
There you go. Do you have support?
I'm like pushing that really hard. But anyways, so I originally come from Hong Kong. I'm the only one here that's not an American. And this is also my first time in South America and also in Brazil. So I'm really, really excited to be here and with you guys. When it comes to my background, I actually did my undergrad in the UK. I went to Cambridge where I did the history of political philosophy. So at one point in life, I really thought that I was going to work for NGOs, for the United Nations. But the problem is, after graduation, I fell to the dark side, and I joined investment banking. So over the past few years, I've been doing that. I've been helping companies raise money all around the world. And one day, I decided that I had enough of that. I wanted to change my career. That's why I went to Berkeley for my MBA, and eventually came to here with you guys. That's it.
Well, it's a good bridge to the next question, which is, why did you guys wanted to go to an MBA? I think there are a lot of people here that may be thinking of taking an MBA either here in Brazil or in other countries. So what led you guys? You wanted to change your career? Anything else that made you choose go to an MBA, Connie?
Sure. I think for me, going to MBA had two goals for me. First of all, as I mentioned, I really wanted to get out of finance and want to explore with different industries. And second, it's actually not only my work goal, it's also my life goal. I want to become someone more well-traveled. So in my education, I've spent a lot of time in Europe. I originally come from Asia, so I feel like the United States is the last piece that I haven't really checked out. I know before then I know very little about Brazil, otherwise I might have thought differently. But that was just part of my thinking, and I want to explore different markets and different geographies.
So you saved the best for last, Brazil, of course.
Yeah, I'd say the main reason I decided to go get my MBA was definitely viewing it as a career accelerator. Having only been working for a few years previously, it really was like a way to kind of signal to future employers, I'm like serious, I'm qualified, and I'm willing to put the work in. On top of that, it's a super fun time. I don't know how much you guys know about business schools in the US, but like they're really fun. Grades don't really matter, and so we get to do fun travels. I mean, we're working pretty hard here, but
he's looking at me while he says that. We're working
got
really
nervous for a
hard,
second
there. We are. Harder than expected.
But it's good because you really get to socialize a lot is a big part of it, and kind of create this professional network with all of your classmates, getting to go on big trips like this and have these types of experiences. You really get to form some pretty deep connections.
So, I mean, MBAs have been around for a long time. Is it still a big career accelerator in the US and in other countries?
Yeah, definitely in the US. I think it's hard to make it. Will bridge the gap to a lot of different companies that you otherwise don't have a pipeline or connection to. So if you're interested in like a top tier consulting, banking, tech firm, they have very strong pipelines and relationships with those firms.
And actually, back to Connie, which was mentioning the travel. One of your life goals is to be well traveled.
Yeah.
Was this part of your decision to go to an MBA in the US, and particularly Berkeley? Berkeley has a higher, for instance, participation of international students than other schools, maybe?
Sure. According to my understanding, Berkeley actually has slightly lower rate of international students intake. I'm not quite sure about that. But I think when it comes to the travel experience, I think it's actually one common value that you can extract from most MBA programs in the States. And for me, going to Berkeley in particular in California, I think it's just that this region is like the one region where you have a lot of exposures that are not only specific to the United States, but they actually, it's like a window that connects you to many different industries and many talents from all around the world. So that's also one of the reasons why I believe I chose Berkeley.
Oh, cool, excellent. How about you, Emily?
I had a few reasons for the MBA as well. One of which was wanting to get a higher level, more strategic view of business. As a consultant, I was very in the detail a lot, and I felt I didn't understand strategy. I really didn't understand marketing. I do better now after 2 weeks here. There were like the rest of the components of business I didn't understand. I felt like I was good where I was in my job, but in order to get to the next level, I needed to step back and learn some more. I also wanted to have some exposure to the United States, which is kind of funny since I am from the United States, but my entire professional experience has been outside of the US. So I felt that I didn't really know how business worked in the US as much as I wanted to, which is why I decided to be in the US and not in Europe or South America or anywhere else. And third, I wanted to use, it's a 2-year program, and I wanted to use these 2 years to figure out what I want in my life. No progress, but but I have 1 more year. So, because I had been kind of always working 1 year to the next, I want to make a longer-term plan for myself. And I see the MBA as a good way to explore a lot of different industries, meet lots of different people, go to other countries, and start to broaden my horizon.
How did you end up, I never asked you that, how did you end up in Argentina? Was that right after college?
Yes. So in my undergraduate, I went to...
She's fluent in Spanish. So watch what you say in Portuguese, because she picks up a lot of stuff.
I went to Brown on the East Coast of the United States, and I studied international relations and economics. I also was going to work for an NGO and save the world. And then I went to consulting. but I had studied Spanish. I wanted to improve my language and just understand how another country worked. So I did an exchange semester at La UBA, the University of Buenos Aires. And I like...
See?
That's all I can say. I can just Buenos Aires. And I liked it so well that when I graduated, I decided to move there. I was going to be there for 1 year, and it turned into 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't ask why. All right.
Later.
All right. So I had been at my company for about 5 years, and I felt like I was losing my passion for the work. I actually didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew it was something different. So I spent a lot of time thinking about what would be a good opportunity. I knew some people that went to MBA programs and found a lot of value doing that. And I think what you get out of the program is that they select people that are just very passionate about what they do, about their industry, or about whatever their pursuit is. And I think for 2 years, you get access to people that are just really motivated, really cool, have a lot of interests, and that's really, you learn a lot from other people. It's not just the academics, it's the social aspects of learning what people have done, what motivates them, what interests them. People very different than you that might have different interests. And I think one of the cool things is that part of the MBA program is just talking, just learning, getting coffee, getting lunch, getting dinner, getting drinks.
Right.
It's you don't get that. But I didn't get that at work. I feel like you kind of learn your job, you learn how to do your job well, but after that, you don't learn as much about what else you could be doing, what else you might be working towards. And I think the MBA program, you learn even things that you don't really care about, you learn what you could do. It kind of opens up your sense of the future in a really cool way. And so I think that's what I wanted, because I didn't really want to make some hard decisions about choosing something and then following it. And I saw business school as a way to kind of delay some hard decisions. But it's been good, and that's kind of my story.
So I don't know if it's still that way, but you do have an international trip during the MBA program? No, you're not. Is there an international trip?
For some schools, it's part of the programming. Everyone does a trip together somewhere in the world. For Berkeley, that's a part of it, but it's the students elect to do it. Like
it's optional.
Yeah.
And how about the summer job? Because one of the things that I think attract people to the MBA is the chance to experiment during the summer job. Because between the first and the second year of the MBA, you have a chance to try something, right? There are scalpers from all over the country and the world actually looking to offer you an interim job during your summer. And so it's a chance to try something you haven't tried before. Is that a good thing? It's a big thing for you?
Absolutely. Both to try something new and to live somewhere else in the world. So people use that summer to do something radically different than what they've done before. And the MBA programs actually connect you to any type of industry, any type of job, and you can spend a lot of time trying to research and understand what you want to do. And you have access to so many companies and so many people before you that have done that type of work that can connect you to those opportunities. So I think people use it really to kind of experiment with what they think they might want to do and try to figure out if that's true or not by doing a summer internship. And then also people that, have lived somewhere else, they can choose to go to New York City for a summer, stay in San Francisco. We've got a classmate that's actually going to be in Sao Paulo working here for the summer as well. So that's another component. People choose to kind of test out, okay, for 2-3 months, I can try this job, I can live somewhere new. Is this something I might want to do later? Yes or no? So that's also a way to experiment and kind of see what your life might be like.
Well, Emily was in South America, but she's from the up west, North America, I'm sorry, you were here, but yeah, I mean, you were born on up there in the northwest of the U.S., kind of the same side. There are a lot of Asians in California. I think you were saying it's a very international, it's kind of a hub, international hub right now. You are from California, but you're from Chicago, and the Chicago area has pretty good schools. I mean, why California? Just to learn how to surf, or? I don't know about the drinks, and he's dating a Brazilian girl. Ah. Now we get to the gossip. That's the heart of the interview.
I was in California for my college.
You chased a girl.
No, she came later. Yeah, but I like California. I mean, I think it matched my personality. I love Chicago too, but it's really cold. Like, it's just not a nice place to be the whole year. It's really nice for about 6 months, but in California, like, I really felt like it matched what I wanted. I could be outside for most days of the year, and just in terms of lifestyle, I feel like I could do what I wanted, you know. And I've been there for 10 years, so I think, yeah, that's a big reason. One of the schools I looked at were Chicago and California, and when I had the chance to go to Berkeley, it just felt like I wanted to stay there for longer. So.
Cool. Billy the Steak Man. Let's go.
It's been a while. I almost forget the questions.
Why the MBA? It may be interesting for them to know. I mean, you said a little bit about your entrepreneurship experience.
Yeah, so I spent 3.5 years working with a tech startup based in Tel Aviv as the first, and for a while, the only non-engineer. And it was a great experience. But by the end, I was really ready to do something different. And the MBA was different. And it opened a lot of doors as far as figuring out what I wanted to do afterwards and getting a good job doing that afterwards, I hope. We'll see. I wanted a break. I personally feel like the MBA, it's not so stressful. It's a break. It's great. Yeah. So I wanted to do something different. It was an opportunity to make a change. I felt like more and more my work network was in finance on the East Coast of the US or in Tel Aviv. And I wasn't super interested in finance anymore, and I didn't want to be in Tel Aviv long term. So it made sense to go to the software hub of the world and be in the Bay Area and build out my network there. And I think that's about it.
Well, there was a big connection also between Tel Aviv, and there is a big connection between Tel Aviv and the Valley, right? So you had maybe some hints of where to go because of that connection?
When you leave Tel Aviv, if you want to go to a bigger tech hub and really be involved in tech and not feel like you're trading to a city where that's less available, the only place to go is the Bay Area. So I knew when I came back to the States that I would likely end up in the Bay Area sooner or later. And I had spent a lot of time in the Bay Area before this for work and for personal stuff. So it made a lot of sense for me to end up in Berkeley, San Francisco area. And as far as, you know, you get your MBA and you recruit and look for things, yes, you can go anywhere in the world. And I think that that's certainly available. But when you talk to people at big tech companies in the Bay Area, a lot of them went to Berkeley and went to the Haas School of Business, which is where we go. And that's a really big advantage when it comes to finding jobs, especially within the tech world.
You want to keep working in the startup scene?
Oh, God, no.
Okay, that was clear. No explanation needed. God, no.
Yeah, so it's different. In the long term, I probably will, but there's a big difference between being at a 2, 3, 4, 5 person company and being at a 500 person company. You guys are in a great place where it's an exciting startup, but a lot has already been built and there's already a lot in place that you guys can build off of. Building that stuff and being one of the first people trying to build it comes with a lot of stress and a lot of failure and hopefully a little bit of success. And yeah, hopefully a little bit and hopefully eventually. And that's not something I want to be a part of in the immediate future again, although I probably see myself doing that again maybe 5-10 years from now.
So maybe you can keep the mic and explain to them a little bit about the subject that you guys have at Berkeley called International Business Development, and then we can go around and just hear you guys say, you know, how did you end up with the ERD project?
Sure. So the class is a 6-week class in Berkeley, and then we're here for 3 weeks. And we get paired basically with groups of 5 and with companies that have partnerships with Berkeley to bring us in to do consulting projects. Obviously, last year you guys had a group of 5 working on the international expansion, but this year the project available from RD was education and working on the new RDU education platform. And so we spent about 6 weeks in Berkeley talking to Paddy and Vinny and Camilla and some other people before Kaiki was a part of the company, and then with Kaiki since then as well. Yeah,
Right. Well,
you're the new one.
I'm the new guy, I know. I got lucky, I inherited the project.
Yeah. So we spent about 6 weeks working and really trying to learn about the education space and how it was developing in America at first. There are a lot of great RDU, ed tech companies in the Bay Area, and we just tried to meet with them and talk to them and learn everything we can so that we could come here and learn more about the space in Brazil and RD and spend 3 weeks trying to match everything we learned in the Bay to everything we're learning down here to try to get to a good end result.
Cool. How about you guys? I mean, why the subject? It's not a mandatory subject, right? You guys can pick it.
No, but I thought it was a really cool opportunity. We spent a lot of time in class learning about strategy, operations, finance, and I'd never really worked on a business project before, so I wanted to actually apply some of what I was learning. Travel as well. I think, like Connie, I like to travel, and so this was a cool opportunity to do both at once, both travel and actually try to be a part and work on a business project. And then you could choose your subject matter, and I wanted to learn more about working in tech and what that meant, what it felt like, and so this was one opportunity to do that. So that's why I selected this project as well.
I think I share a lot of the same reasons that Billy and Zach have mentioned. If you think of the summer internship between the 2 years as a time to test things, I think this IPD program is like another opportunity to do that, because we can try what it's like to work. I've never worked in a startup before. I've never worked on this much of a high-level strategic project before, so I get a taste for what that is like. So that's why I wanted to do it, and to get to know my classmates better as well.
Do you have a choice, or you're assigned a project, or you can choose?
I'm technically the team lead, and which was a position that you apply for within Berkeley. And so I was assigned to this project, and then I chose my team. So I was assigned, but I was very happy to get that assignment.
Okay, cool. No,
and I'm
great.
good friends with James, who was here last year, and he was really excited to hear that I was coming here, and I got he told me about Cake Day. The important things, of course. So I knew from him that this would be a good project.
And by the way, how'd you get to pick the team members? I mean, you just negotiate, you sell the project to others.
So it was kind of a little process. They chose their topic, which had 4 different projects within it, and then I made a 1 slide that summarized what the project was, what the client was. I did a nice picture of the beach in the background.
Oh, that slide that we changed entirely, right?
I should have put a picture of the mall in the background because that's where we spent our time. And each of the team leads did this for the 4 projects, and people submitted their votes for where they wanted to go. And then with the other 3 team leads, we got to fight over who got who. And try to assemble a team that way. We tried to make teams where people had complementary interests, skills, backgrounds. We don't want everybody to be finance or everybody to be consulting, to try to get people who complement each other within the team and people who are interested in the project itself. So this was assigned to me. I was happy about it, and then they chose me and I chose them kind of together.
Beautiful story.
Yeah. Now here we are.
Cool. How about you, Thomas? What interested you in the IBP? No,
IBD.
IBD. Enough of beer.
I think I share pretty similar sentiments to what's already been said, especially like Zach. I kind of wanted to test out some interest in working in the tech sector. So that was like the industry we all selected. And we were lucky Emily's project and all of you guys were a part of that. But the other big reason I'd say is just to be able to get some international perspective. I have only really worked and lived in the US, so this is like a great opportunity to see how some businesses work in other countries, which isn't something that's really easy to experience outside of an MBA program without having to commit all the way to living in a new place. So that's been awesome so far. Yeah.
You had the international exposure, right, Connie? So yes. Why did you take the subject? I mean, when I was at my MBA, we didn't have this kind of option, and I definitely would have taken it because I think it's just great to work in a different group with different people in something you haven't seen before. But how about you? I mean, it was not international, was it? Or was it?
I guess I'm international too. But, well, anyways. Well, I guess for me, part of the reason that obviously the travel element is one aspect that really appeals to me. But aside to that, I think what's really special about IBD is that I get to work in a country that I know I'm probably not going to work there for my full-time experience. So that's just one factor that I consider when I was making the decision of whether to spend time in IBD and specifically whether to spend time in Brazil.
Well, you won my heart. And what strike you guys so far as very different from your lives before coming to Brazil? I mean, it could be something about the working environment, people not you're giving very long answers to short questions like me. What's striking you so far, Connie, in terms of differences between, I mean, you've been in London, in Cambridge, I'm sorry, you've been in Hong Kong, and now US, in Brazil. I mean, how is Brazil different, in your opinion?
I think one thing that's really special about Brazil to me is that people here really value that kind of interpersonal connections, and you really value conversations. So in my old work in Hong Kong, as I was telling some members of the RD University, that we don't have long meetings. So we actually, in my old job, I also had open office, just like RD here. But then a lot of times, me and my teammates would communicate over email, even we're sitting on the same bench. So that was just something very different from RD, and I guess in particular from Brazil, where people just, if you have an idea, if you something that strikes you in your mind, you just immediately stand up, grab someone from the team, and then you can just discuss and share the ideas. So for me, that kind of instant connections, that kind of exchange is just something very valuable and also very different to me.
Cool. Oh, man, that was a good answer.
She kind of took the good one, right? I mean, I think you took the other good one. I think you guys talk a lot here, which has been useful. You're the main person, but I think it's a nice way of putting it that you guys value the interpersonal connections on that, and I do think we get to know people a lot more than maybe in my like typical meetings. It's back in the U.S. It's been much more direct in my experience of, you know, we have 3 things to talk about. We're starting at this time and it ends at this time, and like that's all we're really talking about. Maybe quick pleasantries at the beginning. Here we kind of take a big loop and we talk about everything kind of throughout the meeting. But you get to know the people pretty well, and there's some enjoyment in that. So I appreciate that aspect of it.
Actually, we like to test if you're paying attention. That's why we go around and around. How about you, Emily?
So,
big difference. I mean, you've been in Buenos Aires.
right. I
There
don't
are
think.
similarities
I don't
and
think the
very big
difference was-
differences too.
Well, yes, of course there are differences between Brazil and Argentina, but I worked with a Brazilian team before this, based in Sao Paulo, so it's not as striking of a difference to me as I think to the rest of the team. In fact, after the first meetings, they're like, "Wow, there was we talked a lot," and I was like, "It seems normal to me," but because I don't know what it's like in the U.S.
So it's familiar to you.
It's familiar to me. It feels really lovely to be back.
Okay.
Maybe, and you will use this against me, I think Brazilians complain less than Argentines do, or than
Yes.
Porteño, but maybe that's in, I speak Spanish, and I was involved, I understood the country's politics in Argentina, and so I could participate in discussions about what was going on, and I can't participate as much here. I can say, oh, there's a strike, and the truck drivers are on strike, but I don't know the details of it, whereas I think in Argentina, we'd all be like, no lo puedo creer, este país, we would all be doing it together, and I can't do that here.
No, they complain more. That's it. Stop right there. How about you, Zach?
I think similar. I had a boss who I never saw, and every time I went into his office, I always felt like he was mad at me for something that I didn't do, I thought. So I spent a lot of time wondering why was he so mad and this and that, and he never asked questions about my family or how I was doing or anything. It was just, where's the report that we talked about? And I don't know. It didn't feel like it was just about work. It was just about give me the work, and then that was kind of it. So I think that was part of the reason. After about 4 years, I was like, I think I want something different. It was the relationship aspect that just didn't feel that strong. And so I think partly of what everyone's mentioned is that you guys, I think, ask not just about the work, but how you guys are doing. And I think it's just really much more comfortable, and it makes it feel like it's, I don't know, what you're important to each other, which is a cool aspect of, even for us in 3 weeks here, you guys want to make sure that we're seeing Floripa, we're eating in the right places, we're going to the right places, you're giving recommendations for Rio de Janeiro, and you don't even know us that well. So I think that's really cool. You don't get that in the US that often.
Well, you know that there's research that most people don't leave their companies, they leave their bosses.
Yeah.
Right, do you know that? True. It's true. Most people, when they leave a company, they're not quitting the company, they're quitting the boss. Cool, man. I think your Brazilian girlfriend is making you a better person. You want more connections, you want to be more personal. You know?
I feel like you need some more attention, though. How are you doing?
You need to hug, arm around. How about you, man?
So I've lived a bunch of places, actually. But most of my working situations were with people who speak much more directly and aggressively than Brazilians. When I moved to Israel, very shortly thereafter, a few people I worked with were basically screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, and I was like, what's going on here? And someone looked at me and said, if they're not screaming at you, they don't respect you. And I've not heard one person raise their voice here, but I think it's generally just the idea that you can express yourself and get your thoughts across in a more amicable way. Sometimes more indirect, which makes the conversation a little bit longer.
Don't look at me, man. I'm very direct. We have an agenda, we follow the points, it's all about work. Nah.
I'm trying to figure out how to respond to that indirectly in
Don't.
in a nice way.
But you know, you point to something very interesting, might be interesting for the crowd, which is the Israeli working environment. I went to Tel Aviv 2 years ago, and I then made a speech in an event, Israel event a year ago, and there was this guy dressed in Orthodox Jewish clothes in the back. When I said something, he said, "This is absolute crap." I said, "Okay."
How do you do?
What part? How do you do? Yeah. And your mother, well too. So it may be interesting to know a little bit more. I mean, Americans are direct, but Israelis are very direct, right?
Yeah. Israelis are very direct, and they're very friendly and helpful, and you can be screaming at each other at the top of your lungs, making impassioned arguments 1 second, and go get lunch or have a coffee and be best friends the next second and talk about your personal lives. But they are very direct and very aggressive and loud. Not that that's all bad. They think I'm talking about myself, which is also partially true. But it's very different than here.
You must have suffered in our conversations. Now I see that. You're so direct coming from Tel Aviv. Now that I think about it in our long conversations, but it's been cool, right? I won't hug you, no problem. Don't worry.
We've had a lot of interesting conversations. They haven't been the most direct or to the point, but very interesting.
Okay. So about weird stories. I know you said you missed your flight.
Yeah.
And yesterday you had a weird experience, you guys all together at Jurerê. They left earlier yesterday to go to Jurerê.
We also came earlier.
Came earlier, yes. They worked very much, and then they went to Jurerê. Yes?
About the story? Yeah. Oh yeah, my flight. So we were in Rio. Actually, I told Billy and Thomas. I told them that I forgot my coat at the hotel.
Is that false?
I thought my flight was at 6:30 p.m., but it was at 4 p.m. And and I really wanted to see Ipanema because we hadn't seen it yet, and so I went there. I had a beautiful day. The sun was out, and everyone was on the beach, just happy, relaxing, like listening to some music. We had some drinks, and then I thought I should go to the hotel, like just get my stuff and go. When I get to the hotel, I look at my phone. It's already, an hour and a half after my flight. So I talked to the hotel. I say, "Listen, this is my situation. Can you help me?" And the guy was so helpful. I don't know, this guy was like my favorite person in the world. He stopped working. He said, "Let me help you, let me help you." He was on the phone for like 1 hour, seriously. And he said, "I don't know if we're gonna get you on a flight tonight, but maybe tomorrow." I said, "I got work tomorrow. I gotta talk to Kaiki, please help me." And yeah, he got me on a flight. I got home pretty late, but I got to see some more of Rio de Janeiro. It's a really beautiful place, and I don't know. I mean, that was kind of my experience. What?
The funny part about this story was he didn't want to come to the airport with us because he thought he had an extra hour, but instead he left. He was supposed to leave an hour before.
And I just found out he's a really good liar because I believed it when he told us that he had left his passport at the hotel. I don't trust. Now I don't trust you.
Yeah, that was it. It was worth it.
Any other funny stories you guys would like to share?
The bridge.
Oh, the bridge, come on.
I wasn't in the car. I missed the whole thing. You want to talk about it?
They went to the Italian restaurant, right? The Italian restaurant that Patricia...
So Pachi and Kami recommended an Italian restaurant in Coqueiros, is it? I can't pronounce it in Portuguese. I can. So we got an Uber. We are like Uber's best customers here. We go everywhere by Uber. We need 2 because there's 5 of us. And we went to the restaurant, had a lovely dinner. On the way back, Billy, Connie, and I got an Uber with a woman who said when we got in there, she's like, "I'm not from here. I'm going to use the GPS. Is that okay?" We're like, totally fine. The trip is about 12, 14 minutes. It took us 35. We went over the bridge 3 times. She missed at least 5 exits. We got in an accident with a motorcycle. And I didn't have the heart to give her like a bad rating, so we just skipped the rating. But yeah, if you look at the trip on my trips in Uber, it just is like going around and around and around, back and forth. She was really nice though.
Well, the view is nice.
Yeah.
At least, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's good.
Any other stories, guys? No?
We went to the food court in the mall for lunch. We made a presentation.
Any questions from you guys directly to them? Anything about the MBA, their stay here, the project? I must say that there will be a presentation for everyone, for the entire company on the 31st at 11 a.m. So that you can, this will be the bench part of the project, and we'll share with all of you, with the entire RD company. So, but any questions right now for them?
How hard is to be accepted to the project, the MBA project?
Do microfone para que os remotos consigam.
How hard is to be accepted into the project, the MBA project?
To this project or to
No,
the
to
MBA
the Berkeley
program? It's a long process. There's a standardized exam called the GMAT. Beatrice knows about this, but there's an exam. You have to get recommendations from typically former bosses. You submit your CV, you write essays about your experience, you have a series of interviews. So in total, the process depends how much you focus on it. It can take maybe 6 months or a year to do, depending on how long you study for the exam. I studied a long time. And then there's the acceptance rate for each program varies. I don't remember what the one for Berkeley is, but like 10% acceptance of those who apply get in. It was hard.
Any other questions?
You can also talk to us individually afterwards or on Slack.
No more questions? All right.
You really want more questions?
I would love to. I'm having fun.
Any questions?
If it's a conversation, I'm in. But let me say this. It's been a super pleasure to have you guys around. If you want to approach them with information that you think may be interesting for them, they are sitting in a meeting room at the 5th floor. What's the name of the room? Is Saskita?
New leads on the block.
New leads on the block.
We are the new leads.
If you can, they're staying over in Floripa this weekend.
Yes.
So recommendations, places to go will be welcome, right?
Happy hour today.
Happy hour, yeah. And I must thank everyone who's been involved in this project so far, because everybody gave their time. They interviewed, I think, 30-something people, 35 people, amongst our doers, customers, partners. A lot of people helped. Everybody was willing to share and help. A lot of people from RDU helped a lot. Yeah. So thank you all who helped them with this project. It's a very important project for us. And today we had a draft presented to Eric to kind of touch base with him, and his feedback was very positive. I was really impressed with the work that they put together today. I think I'm very proud of what they have been capable of, putting together. I can tell you in front of everybody that it's been, I know I joke a lot, but now seriously, it's been a pleasure and an honor to be around you. You're very smart people, and I have no doubt of your success, whatever you decide to do going forward. And maybe you take with you a little bit of RD in your hearts. Okay? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.